Like, I'm in Japan with this one. This is like the Vamp's first big European tour. Like, this is being in Ireland with Nico driving in his crazy G-Wagon.
Yeah. Today, James McVey, lead guitarist of the Vamps, is on my sofa, and he's going to show me and hopefully tell me some good stories about some of his watches.
Indeed I am. Thank you, first of all, for having me here. I recognise the space. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the Matrix now.
This is the Matrix. This is real life.
That's great.
So you've brought a few watches
Yep.
for me to take a look at. Is there anywhere you would want to start?
We'd start with my first watch, which is my Submariner. I got this in it was the day of my engagement party to Kirsty. So I am the least sociable person that I know. So for me to have a party, that was a big deal. I was like sort of like freaking out of it. But we did a party. I don't actually know when it was, 2019.
Okay.
And I picked that watch up that morning, and it was just before the craziness of like Rolex in particular. And I remember, like, for me, that I'd just come out the jungle. I did I Am a Celeb.
Yeah.
And it was just a weird time where I wanted to I think the jungle kind of like broke me mentally in a weird way. And I came out wanting to like appreciate what I had, but also just sort of like enjoy myself a little bit. And Kirsty's dad, Steve, is the man that got me into watches.
Right.
And he'd been like going for ages saying, you need to get your first watch. And I was like, I don't know.
I don't think you can beat for a first watch, especially if you don't know much about watches. I guess a black sub is it's such a strong entry-level watch. I mean, you could say a Datejust as well, I guess. But
I nearly got a Datejust, actually.
Yeah.
And this watch I took around the world last world tour. And again, it's funny how times have changed. Like, I didn't once think I've got a Rolex on my wrist and I'm walking down the street in like a random part of like Mexico or whatever. Yeah. Like, nothing against Mexico, great place, but like, I never thought, I could get that stolen from me. But that kind of changed, and to the point now where this is the first time it's been out of my house for months.
Really?
I don't wear it anymore at all.
Do you think that's a direct correlation to what's going on in the world at the moment?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think something like Submariner or Rolex in particular is such a recognizable thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's why now, like, I'm moving to slightly different things. Like, I'm not. The thought of me putting my name down for like a Submariner or something like that, I just don't see that happening anymore. I don't want to buy something that I'm never going to use, right? So, but the great thing about this watch is it really opened that door to everything, right? Like, as soon as, I don't know what people are like at home, but as soon as you get interested in like a certain watch or a car or whatever, I'll go on like YouTube and I'll be like, review, like, or whatever.
Obsessive with it.
Yeah. Like, and then even after you bought it, you're like, yeah, but I want to see it properly through like a camera.
Yeah.
So it's like that happened, and then once you get down that route, I'm like, I didn't even know what this was, and I was like, diver watch, what's that? And then you think, oh, there's another company, Tudor, they make divers, and it just kind of goes and goes and goes. But that I had, the Submariner was a watch I had on its own for quite a while. I didn't get my second watch till a few months later. And the second one that I got was a gift from my father-in-law, Steve, which is this Archimede, which I don't know too much about Archimede, but they're German, I believe. And this is really small. It's like, I don't know what size that is, 34 maybe. I don't know if it's 36, 34.
It looks 34.
Something like that. And the thing that I love about that watch is it was kind of starting to happen when... I love taking the sub, but like to places, but every so often if I was going somewhere kind of more rugged, I just wanted something that like I just didn't need to think about, something lighter, because like when you take, at the time, this felt quite heavy on my wrist and I loved it, but like I didn't want something like that. So when Steve very kindly gave me that, I thought, this is amazing. So that watch, I wore that watch when I went to Japan with my wife, and we were staying in like the foothills of Fuji, and it was just perfect. Like, it just cool. It just works. It's it's great, and like it doesn't get much wrist time, I think, because it's quite small. But it's like there's just thoughts and feelings and emotions I get when seeing that, and I always think of like Steve with it, and he got that. I think he got that sort of the end of the 90s when he was on a work trip, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like it's, and that it wasn't just like a random thing he picked up and just gave it straight to me. He had it for years, and we put a new new strap on it, and I love it. And my wife wears it occasionally as well, which is cool. And it's very different from my Submariner, but I love it. So I had those two for a while, and I don't know about you or anyone watching, but like, it's funny how you say, right, like I've got two now, that's fine, but it's like
everyone says it.
Always something happens, and again, it's like my father-in-law is the reason for my issues, but like very soon after, I mean the dates might be a bit weird, but very after him kindly giving me the Archimede, he said to me, "Oh, Tudor releasing a Black Bay Pro, not Black Bay Pro, Black Bay 58, sorry." And I didn't know anything about that then. Like I was still kind of in that mindset of like, I know a little bit about Rolex and this Archimede is really cool, but I wasn't like down the rabbit hole per se, like on anything else. And he said, "Oh, I really think like I'm gonna get one of these. Like, why don't I try and put your name down for one? We should get one together." And I was like, it's funny. Like I was saying at the time, well, it's quite similar to my Submariner. I don't know if I don't really need that, but I think I felt, because it was still quite early-ish on in mine and my wife's relationship, I didn't want, and he was clearly wanting us to get this watch together. And I was like, like, you know, I sort of said, okay, fine, whatever, thinking that maybe we'll forget about it. And then like pretty soon after, he was like, okay, like somehow I've been able to get you one as well. So I was like, shit, I need to spend whatever $3,000. Oh, fuck. But you know what? I'm so glad I did, because actually that watch kind of replaced the Archimede with the sort of like excursion trip. So that watch came to Namibia with me. I did like a drive across Namibia with Land Rover, driving it's not that new anymore, but the Defender when it was announced a few years ago. And I love that watch, and it kind of, again, it's like no nonsense, but I just love the subtle differences between that and like my Submariner. No date, it's just great. And it's now, I think, regarded by a lot of people as just like a great watch from Tudor. Do
you ever put the NATO on? Do you have a NATO strap?
I do, but I've never put it on there. No, I haven't. I don't know why, to be fair, because it looks great on a NATO.
It does look really good.
It looks really sick.
It does, yeah.
But no, I had it's got Nico's.
I was going to say, tell me about this logo.
So I didn't buy it from Nico, but within a couple of weeks, I had a really, really bad scratch on the glass, which was like, it's gone now. But it was like really bad, to the point where we were like, how has that happened? And I didn't know what to do. Like, I spoke to the AD and they were like, they said that they'd like never seen that happen. It shouldn't happen, whatever. And we were trying to figure out how we think that maybe my wife's engagement ring or something maybe got it. But this was within, honestly, like I took it to Namibia, noticed the scratch there, and I went to Namibia in like March, and I think I got that in like February. So it was like very, very quick to get, and I was like, okay, great. So Nico said he would very kindly get it repaired for me, and he did that. And I thought, you know what, it was quite an early time in his channel. Like, you know, we're talking when was it? 20? It was the spring of the pandemic. So when's that? 2020?
Yeah, it will have been 2020.
Yeah.
Early day.
Yeah,
very
March.
early.
Yeah.
Very.
So in fact, I was one of the last flights back into Heathrow before things went crazy. So his channel was, you know, building, but I just had a real good vibe. I connected with Nico really well, like on a personal level. Just we're chatting, and I was like, mate, like, can you put your Pride and Pinion logo on the back? So I just thought, just to add to the story. So that's where I was for a while with those three. There were a few other watches along the way that aren't here now, but I think if we're going in chronological order, I've got a friend, Andy, in Australia, who is a big watch guy who does an Australian watch podcast actually with his friend Felix, which is great. And there's a brand, Halios. I don't know if you're aware of them.
No.
So a chap called Jason, who is Canadian, he runs Halios, and Halios is like a micro brand. And I'll be honest, I have no idea how he makes any money doing it, because I can't remember what the price of that is, but you know, under $1,000, I think. Yeah. And he does like quite small batch things, it seems, and every few years, and it strikes me very much that it's like you put you register your interest, and then you might not hear anything for like a year, but then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'm ready to do them, and you pay the money, and then one turns up. But I think for the money, Halios is amazing. You know, we're speaking about like micro brands loads nowadays, but for me, there's only a few micro brands that I truly think are great. Halios is one of those. and he's only done a few different sort of models.
Yeah.
But they just keep on getting better and better, I think. And I love the fact that with him, you can drop him an email and he'll get back to you. It's not like Rolex where they want you dead. They'll take your money, but they don't care. Jason is a true kind of passionate guy that I think really, really understands and appreciates what his audience has to say about what he makes. I've been borrowing that for like 2 years from my friend Andy. He sent it to me from Melbourne, and because I wanted to buy one, and he said, mate, just try mine for a bit. So it was probably again the start of the pandemic. He said, mate, I'll just post you this, and I bought like a G-Shock that was like an Australian only release. So he bought that for me out there, and then posted it to me, and he said, well, I'll put this in as well, and you can try it for a bit. And I thought I'd have it for like a couple of weeks, and I posted it back
2 years later.
2 years later, and I asked him a few times. I was like, mate, like, when do you want it back? And he's like, it's fine. So I'm going to meet him in person for the first time in a couple of weeks in Melbourne. So I'm going to give this him back. I think this is number 666 as well, which is just sick. It's just amazing. And for me, like, again, if you wanted to, this could be like a one watch thing as well, like one watch collection, because I think it's just really interesting. And again, for the money, like, I think it's brilliant. I don't know how he makes money on it. It's sick. So love that. Love Halios, love Jason. From there, we go to, let me think about this. We go to one of my more recent pickups, which is the Black Bay Pro. Now, I keep saying I'm a big Explorer 2 fan. My ultimate grail is like the 1655 Rolex Explorer 2 from the 60s, whatever. Steve McQueen, which no one really knows why it was sort of nicknamed that, because he never wore one, right? But
do you know have you looked into that?
Well, supposedly he never. I don't know why. So people thought he wore one once in a film or something, but he apparently never did.
Interesting.
But that is my ultimate, like. But you know, for best part of 30 grand, you're not gonna get anywhere near that. And then also with what I like to do with the watches, really kind of beat them up and swim in them. Like, I know it was designed originally for that in the 60s, but it's like I'd be quite scared to be doing that stuff
with that watch.
For sure. So when Tudor posted that picture on Instagram or whatever, or when it was announced somewhere, I was like, shit, like that is like, I need that watch, because it's just, for me, it's just like a direct homage to that 1655. Like,
it is.
And then I was skeptical with how chunky it was. That was kind of the overwhelming reaction I saw online, and I was like, okay, cool. So I put my name down for one, and then kind of forgot about it, and over a period of a few months, I don't know what it's like with you, but like, you get really, really excited and like really like, I really like want, you obsess over it. You do all the videos, and you, it's almost like you already own it, because you're like, I've committed, and you know, I put some money aside for it, and I was ready. And then like, I just didn't really hear anything for ages, and which is fine, you know, expected. But I kind of like semi stopped thinking about it, and actually. That was a similar time that I was able to get my Explorer 2, like at retail, which was amazing. And like for me, that was the grail for me. Like any Explorer 2, I have no chance of the old one, so I got like a latest model Explorer 2, and I was like, great. And that was like then my world, because it kind of came out of nowhere, did it, and oh thank God, no more watches. My wife was like, no more watches. We'd just got married, and bad. You're saving for the honeymoon and all that. And then all of a sudden, Nico called me up, and he was like, "Mate, I've got a Black Bay Pro. Are you still interested?" And I was like, "Fuck," because I'm talking like the space of like 2 months probably after buying the Explorer 2. That came up, and I was like, "Oh no, like what am I gonna do?" And it was. I just think like stars aligned with this purchase, because I was going to Ireland like 2 weeks later to do 3 shows with the Vamps. We played with a band called Picture This, which are like a huge Irish band, and it was like 3 stadiums back to back sold out. And I was like, you know what, like, and it was also coming up 10 years of the Vamps, and I thought, oh God. And I knew with that watch, like, if I didn't jump on it then, I would regret it. And thank God I did get it, because that watch gets probably just as much wrist time, if not more, than my Explorer 2.
Really?
Yeah. And on the back, it's got 10 years of the vamps, because I thought that's quite nice.
Really cool.
Yeah. And I love it. It's got that. I know the whole like fake patina thing is something that's polarizing in the watch world, but for me, like, I think it's sick. The last watch is the watch on my wrist. Now, this happened, so, well, off the bat, my one issue I have with Grand Seiko is like the reference numbers are impossible to remember. So I know that that's got like an S in it somewhere, a G, an M, maybe a 1. So it's effectively just like it's a great dress watch, but what takes it away from the dress watch is the GMT function, in my opinion.
Oh, you don't like the GMT function?
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
So that's why I love it the most, because like dress watch is great, cool, fine, like them, but that is like a little bit more than just a dress watch.
I see.
To the point where like I wear that, well, I'm wearing that today, like, and I'm wearing relatively naff clothes. Like I don't care what else I'm wearing, and I think, you know, I've seen some pictures where people have swapped out the strap for other things, like a NATO or even just like another more like chill leather strap, because that's the alligator. It's like, it's quite intense, but for me, and so, okay, so the story behind this watch is we're in New York on our honeymoon, and bear in mind, this was very similar time to getting my Explorer 2 and the Pro. Like, I was like, there was no way in hell I should have been buying a watch, right?
Right.
And we were, in New York, and it was so hot. We went on to Turks and Caicos. We did like New York and Turks and Caicos, which we thought that Turks and Caicos was going to be a really hot beach holiday, amazing. But we thought New York would be nice, do the tourist stuff. It was like 38 degrees in New York then, which meant we couldn't do anything other than like traipse around shops, which Kirsty and I never do. But we were like, it's a honeymoon, let's do it. So, and like I kind of like looked on maps to see where we were staying, and I was like,
quite close to
Switzerland, around the corner. And we went in there, and I had kind of thought I wanted to get something to commemorate the honeymoon, like. But I was thinking like, I don't know, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking some like very entry level, like, you know, something really chill like Hamilton or something, which I would have loved. But then Kirsty, who doesn't have or didn't have a watch, her like ears sort of pricked up when she like looking, and she saw that, and I'm a massive Grand Seiko fan. Like I absolutely love them more, and especially after getting that, like, that's where I'm going in the future. Like I'm moving away definitely from the whole Swiss thing. But when she saw that, I was like, try it on. And we didn't see how much it was. And in my head, I was thinking like, I personally think, right, Grand Seiko, for the value for what you get is insane. I was thinking you could tell me that was like $8,000, and I believe you. And I was thinking like, okay, she loved it, and I was like, okay, we've got an issue. It's going to be like $8,000. And he was like, I think I paid like $4,300 somewhere around that, or $4,700. So it's just over £4,000, right? Yeah. And I was like, you know what? For what you're getting there, like in my opinion, that is insane. Yeah. And you know, it was quite a extravagant purchase out of nowhere. But I love the fact that, you know, my wife saw a watch. She didn't know anything. She knew she's learning Japanese, so the whole Japanese connection was great. And she looked at that without any sort of like encouragement for me. There was a whole, you know, we were walking down, and she was like, I want to try that on. Amazing. And I think that's what it's about, right? Like, she didn't care about all the books. She could have theoretically got like a date just, or well, she might not have had a chance there, but like she could, you know, she could have gone for anything like that, or like a Santos or Tank, whatever. But that's what she wanted, and I love that. So picking that up for me was. So wait,
she picked it for her, but you ended up wearing it, and keeping it.
Well, so no, that is her. That's her only watch at the moment.
Oh, this is hers. Okay,
but I wear it just as much, and I think that's why I love watches like that though, where you can both wear them. If you put them side by side, what you get in this, for me, I think hands down smashes it. And you know, I think that in a way smashes this, like, just for what you get, like, which is fun and controversial, but I think it's sick. I love the dial, you know, they do like the seasonal dial stuff. I just think it's crazy, man. So that's where I'm going, I think. But I have been told really no more watches until the end of the
boss has told you no more
next
watches.
year. But she has got her eyes on a tank actually now. So
really?
So maybe I can
if you get her a tank, you can
add
something yourself.
I'm trying to get it up to the Santos, so because I don't know if I could pull off a tank, but I could definitely pull off a Santos.
Yeah.
We'll share that.
Yeah.
So, but that I mean, these are the watches, that mean the most to me. But as I said at the start, it doesn't mean they get all the wrist time, but these are the sort of things that, like, I open my watch box and, like I said, I'm in New York with this one, like I'm in Japan with this one, I'm in Namibia with this, like I think of my mate in Australia, this is like the Vamp's first big European tour, like this is being in Ireland with Nico driving in his crazy G-Wagon. Like this is like my life in a watch box, and I don't think there's, and you could argue the same with like my tattoos, but I kind of look weird if I like this with my tattoos, right? But I can look at all these and it takes me there, and I think I have like I'd love to be able in, like, I don't know, 20 years to, maybe not 20, 30 years to speak to like my kids and be like, when me and your mum went to Japan for our first time, this is what I was wearing. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah,
it's
so
that
true.
Legacy. So,
and now you have another watch in your collection,
mate.
don't you?
I can't believe this is happening. It's like Christmas, right? And I know this is such a This is such a divisive like topic, right?
Completely, yeah.
But mate, so I picked up my pink moon Swatch. I wasn't gonna get one, and like, dude, like I'm kind of with everyone with all they're saying about it. I can't get down with what they're saying about it, but I feel like you have to have one for a bit of fun. And Phil very kindly said that I could have this because this was the color that I wanted.
So now you're going to look at that really shitty Swatch and be like, that reminds me of Phil.
No, mate, seriously, thank you so much.
All good.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna take this on the world tour, and I will take a photo of it somewhere and I'll send it to you, and I'll
Please
be like,
do.
This is for you.
That's a deal.
Thank you so much, mate. This is amazing.
No worries. Well, thank you so much, guys. Please like, subscribe. Comment what you thought about James's collection, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks.